I am so excited. Hi, welcome, I'm Hannah, and I'm so excited because I have the 7 new Multichromes from Looxi. They look so pretty. I had no idea what to expect because all of their shadows are normally $3. They have some that are really shifty and shimmery and duochromatic, but this is like a whole new formula from them, and I'm so excited to discover what the deal is with these. These were $12 each, but they did have the bundle that I got for $70, so you're saving $14 by doing the bundle, but we're gonna find out if they're all winners, if it's worth just picking up a couple, if it's a whole skiff situation. I just don't know. I've said before too that I like shimmery eyeshadows the best. I would take a really shimmery eyeshadow over a multichrome that's not shimmery. So I was nervous that maybe these would be less shimmery because I have seen that before in multichromes, but at least 4 of these. Like, look at this one here. I think this one's like the best just from looking at them in the pan, and it looks like TV static. You can see the shifts in the pan too. These got delivered to me really late last night, and the self-control to not touch any of these. I don't know how I did it, and I couldn't do it for a second longer. They do look pretty different from each other looking at the pans in person, but I feel like online there was a lot of kind of like overlaps. I think a lot of these do shift green, so that'll be interesting to see how that looks in person. But I'm saying that because I am gonna swatch 2 at a time, obviously, and I'm going to group them by what looked similar to me online, even if they don't look like similar enough in person to even like need to really compare them, you know? And it kind of works out too, because each duo looks like it has one that looks spectacular and one that I'm not sure about. So that's kind of fun also. The first shadow, oh my god, I can't wait to see what this feels like. The first shadow is Baecation. It's described as a maroon red with shifts of purple, green, and gold. I really like that like berry color and then that bronze and green. Oh my god. Okay, let's see. Wow, let's see. Okay, it does feel a little harder pressed, but not so hard pressed that I dislike it. Oh my god. Huh. This reminds me a lot of Smoulder from Clionadh, which I will compare it to towards the end when I'm swatching these out of my hands. But Smoulder has a really intense black base that discourages me from wearing it, and this does not appear to have that dark of a base. Like, I see a little bit of like the dust around the outskirts, but that doesn't look black to me. I am gonna layer it up just a little bit more. That shift is so apparent. I really like that. Yeah, I think in this harsh lighting where it's the hardest to see shifts, I can see that like the berry color of it looks really bright and really pretty, and that bronze is so apparent. When I turned around and looked in my mirror too with dim lighting, I could also see the green to it. I will say I'm not the biggest fan of like deeper shadows, and when I got these in person, I was like, maybe these will be bright enough that I'll like wear them a lot, but I think it does look darker on my eye than I expected just from the pan. Like, it's still bright and pretty, but like this isn't the kind of color I like reach for like a grab and go. This I'll probably use more either on the lower lash line or to like deepen up the outer corner of my eye. But I do feel like it's easier to use than Smoulder just because the base of it isn't as dark. The next one might be the one that I was most excited about based on color alone, but it doesn't look as shimmery as the most shimmery ones look in the pans. This one, it's called Euphoria. It's described as a light magenta with shifts of green, gold, orange, and reddish pink. Let's see. This one does feel a little bit softer than the last one did. That's so pretty. That's a really pretty color. I'm gonna build this one up a little bit more also. Okay, interesting. So I feel like Euphoria looked a lot less shimmery in the pan than I literally just looked at what this one was called. Baecation. Euphoria Baecation. Euphoria looked less shimmery than Baecation, but I feel like on the eyes, they have a pretty similar effect, right? Like, I think if anything, maybe Baecation doesn't look as shimmery on the eyes as it did in the pan, but these look pretty even to each other. So all that to say, the fact that this didn't look as shimmery in the pan doesn't make me like it less, because I like the color a lot. And this is a color that I feel like is really unique to my collection. It kind of reminds me of Noble from Clionadh, which I was just talking about. I just got recently because I really like the color, but this one's a little bit more pink. But it's like right in that family of like pinky purples that I like a lot. I do think that like the flip looks so dark when it goes that way, but it's interesting enough that like I'm down with it. And then like when I go this way, you could see like the bronze and the green and kind of that orangey yellow. Wow, these are so shifty. I really did not know what to expect, but like I didn't have my hopes up for these to be like ultra sparkly and ultra shifty, but they are. Yeah, I think they're both really good, but Euphoria, I'm really into Euphoria. Okay, I did just run to the mall in the last like 45 minutes and I kept the eye swatches on for it because I don't think they look that ridiculous. And a couple notes, when I was in the harsh fitting room light, because I'm going to a wedding tomorrow, I was trying to find a dress, trying to get lucky, it didn't happen, but I will post the video here if it looks okay. I could tell that Baecation was more spectacular and the green reflect in it was super bright. Euphoria looked like it had more of like a dulled down green reflect, but the green was still very prominent. Also, interesting, almost everything creases on me, and especially Looxi shadows crease on me, which I tend to forgive them for because they're $3 shadows and I could tap them out really easily, but I just like speed walked a lot and there's like no creasing on this one and like the slightest hint of creasing here, and like my eyes, you know, fold into themselves, so I think that's really cool, and I think that makes sense with them being like a firmer formula. I think the formula feels like a really good balance where it's not so firm that I don't like it. I can't put into words why I don't like it, but I don't like them if they're too hard pressed. But it's hard pressed enough that there's no creasing after like more than 45 minutes of having this on. So let's go on to the next two. I forgot to mention for the first swatch that I didn't have anything on my eyes, and now I removed that and I just kind of tapped over with my foundation brush with nothing new on it, just to like even out my skin tone. The next one we're going to talk about is Wish You Were Here, which looks pretty, but it doesn't look like one of the most spectacular ones. The color of it looks like a muted olive, but a lot of like copper in it when I hold it up. It's described as an antique golden chartreuse with shifts of green, blue, and pink. Feels consistent. I see like a bright Kelly green and blue in person that's not coming up on camera. And I'm going to build it up a little bit. This one, from the looks of it here, reminds me a lot of Clionadh Weathered, which I do have and I will compare it to at the end. This one does, like, it looks nice, and I'm excited about like the prospect of that Kelly green that I can see in person, but I'm not as attracted to the tone of it. But I feel like this is a tone that a lot of people really like. I think it looks duller than Weathered, which kind of reminds me of Weld from Clionadh, which I don't have, but I know a lot of people love. I'm just like not one of them. So I think if you want something really like green and grungy, this could be for you. But also like, it's so funny seeing the green in my finger and then holding it up, and like, it's just more of what's on my eye. But yeah, beware of the bright green. Oh, that's interesting. I'm gonna take a video on my phone to insert, because when I hold my phone up, I can see that Kelly green there. And the fact that it's so prominent on my phone camera, I feel like it's gonna be super Kelly green in person. Like, this looks like Kelly green and like kind of like a bronze. Okay, so the next one does look spectacular. Like, how pretty is that? It's called Life's a Beach, and it doesn't have a description on the website. I can see from the Instagram post, which do tend to capture more colors and look different than they do in person to me. I can see that it's like has a lot of bright green and teal and blue. So I'm expecting it to have a lot of bright green and teal and blue. This one feels a little bit coarser when I touch it. Oh my God. Wow. But it still applies just as smooth on my eye. I'm gonna build it up. Wow. So this one I am seeing like hints of that dark base, like right like there where it kind of got out of the lines and like right around the outskirts, but not enough that I think it would make it hard to work with for me. That's so bright. Doesn't that look like Christmas? Wow, that's like a holiday green. That's so green. I'm not seeing that many shifts like here right now, but that little bit of fallout kind of looks teal, which I should say, I haven't really experienced much fallout with any of them. I feel like this one little drop could have happened with anything. I'm just twisting around in my chair, and I feel like you can really see that teal when I have less direct lighting on it. Wow, look how blue that is. And I feel like I'm seeing pink on the outskirts of that also. Wow. I'm so happy that my phone is picking up on more colors than just what we see from this angle. But I'm still just like, I can't believe that they're actually so shifty. And they're also like shimmery enough for me to be happy with them. Okay, the next two are gonna be the two deepest shadows, and this first one of them is the one that looks the least shimmery of all of them, like considerably less shimmery. For example, I think you can see like how bright and shimmery the green is, and this just like looks very flat. But I think there are people out there that are opposite than me. I want shimmer over everything. Shimmer beats multichrome. But I know there's other people out there that aren't as into shimmer, and if they still want a multichrome, then this shade might be right up their alley. And also we haven't put it on the eyes yet, so let's reserve a judgment. It's described as a deep purple with shifts of orange, brown, red, and yellow. I can't imagine this giving us all that, but I'm ready to be surprised. That shade of purple is so pretty. Okay, yeah, this is definitely not my favorite. It has more of like a satin look, it seems, than a shimmery look. It also feels kind of like harder to work with. I was unable to get as even of a line, and it feels like it kind of like flickered out towards the edge there. But I do see that shift. I like that red in it. I wonder if this would make a good like liner, maybe? But also like, then again, like I try things like that and my eyes are like too hooded to use a liner without having a lot of the shadow get on like my upper lid. Yeah, I'll look at this one in the other angles too after I get the other eye on, but I still like, I see that red and I think that's cool. But this isn't going to be a shade that I'm going to reach for. This next one's called Never Lost. It also doesn't have a description, but it looks really shimmery. It's like a dark denim blue to like a bright grape purple. And in the swatch picture on Instagram, I see some like green towards the edges also. Okay. I'm like right off the bat liking how bright that blue is in the shadow. Oh yeah. Cool. This is a good shade. This isn't typically the kind of thing that I grab for all over my eye, but this is so exciting. Like I love how prominent that red is there, right at like the curve of my eye. I see so much purple. I see so much blue, and just that color of the sparkle. I really like that color of the sparkle. Yeah, this shade's really up my alley in a way that I didn't even know had an alley. And I think you could definitely tell there the difference between like the shimmeriness between those two shades. Oh, wow. Like I love that. I love this one. I like how it turns from like a blue with some purple to just like full-blown purple. That's really cool, and you could really see that red there, and you can see the green. We got it all. That's crazy. Oh wow, I love that. Let's keep an eye on this eye. Okay. You can see the copper and the purple. It does have like nice shifts. It's just not doing it for me, and it's not going to do it for me, but Never Lost is awesome. Never Lost is awesome. Day Tripper, I would definitely skip if I remade this order. But it is cool that I saved the bundle so I can like tell myself that like this is the one that I got for free, so I don't have to feel bad about it. Not that I would feel bad about it anyway, but whatever. We are on to the last one, and I am immeasurably excited. This is Off the Grid, and it just looks so incredibly spectacular in the pan. I have a reel that I filmed that I'm gonna be posting on Instagram either tonight or tomorrow before this video comes up, and you can see it sparkling outside in the daylight, and it just looks so unbelievably spectacular. It's described as a burnt orange with shifts of red, brown, yellow, gold, blue, and green. That's like all of them. I do have primer on my eyes now because I'm going to be making a look out of this. I feel like this one's gonna remind me of Forge a lot because like when I look at it, it's so green and yellow, and it's so like orange and red and bronze in the reflection. Okay, definitely gonna need to build it up. But that's okay. I find with like most shadows, I end up going in a couple times anyway. Okay, that looks pretty. That looks like fall wrapped up in one shadow. Cool. I'm excited. I'm like really excited to see how this looks when we turn, but I feel like just in front of me, I can see the like green elements and the red elements at the same time. It looks so like grungy in the way that I like the best, where it's kind of like a bright grunge. Because this like color that's like sparkling, it's like a copper, and it just looks so vibrant, and I'm really into that. Okay, we can definitely see more of that yellow, and that green looks so vibrant. I love this angle where it's just like the green right next to the copper, and you can see that like orangey red also. And this looks like totally different shadows in my eyes. Wow. I do feel like with this one, I like the formula a lot. I like the shade, but it's not as exciting for me as like Euphoria was in the beginning, for example. I just really like the color of that, and this like, I will wear it and I will like it. But it's not something as like tailored for me, you know, as other shadows are. So I'm going to make a look out of this, and we'll be right back. This is the finished look. So on my lid, I have on Off the Grid, as you saw. I added a couple transition colors in. I used everything from Looxi, which is just like a very easy transition for me, pretty neutral leaning warm. And then I used Faded from Give Me Glow, which is a little bit more neutral leaning cool. I don't know, they just seemed right. And then I tapped a little bit more Off the Grid on just to make sure that I was still getting that pow. I used a pencil brush to like sharpen up the edges of it, and it picked up on a pencil brush really well. I also used a pencil brush to put 2 shades on my lower lash line. On the inner half, I used Wish You Were Here, which is kind of that like grungy green one that had that Kelly green flip. And then I also used Life's a Beach, which is that like super, like, doesn't this look like an edited on image? That's so bright. It doesn't look quite as bright on my lower lash line in this light right now, but it's so bright. And then my inner corner, I just used Phosphorescent from Clionadh. I think these shadows are really good. As I've said numerous times, I didn't know what to expect. You could get so many different things when a brand says multichrome, and this is really nice. My only complaint is like it's not necessarily the group of shades for me, because I'm not someone who tends to buy these like deeper jewel tones, I tend to buy shadows that are more like mid to light toned and bright, but I can still appreciate how good they are. And that's another thing that I like about these eye swatching videos, is that like I'm giving you the data, like I'm showing you how they look on my eyes and I'm interpreting them to me, but like you could interpret them a different way. And the one that like I like the least for X, Y, and Z, like you could like the most for those same reasons. So I think that's really fun. And with that being said, I'm gonna rank them. Of these 7 shades, if someone was like, you have to give one up right now, I'd be like, here you go. Like before they even finish the sentence, I'd be like, here you go. This one's Day Trippin. It's just not as shimmery, and I live for the shimmer. Some of the other ones, even if they're not my favorite color, like I could see how I'll use them, how I'll reach for them. They look exciting for me just sitting there in their cute little pans. But this one, I don't think I'm going to be grabbing for at all. It felt a little bit harder to work with, and it just really didn't have that shimmer. I'm gonna make them like as long as possible. I feel like sometimes I do like weak swatches, and I'm trying to start giving you juicy ass swatches. So you can see, really nice like shift and everything, but just not the shadow for me. The next one that I would give up is Wish You Were Here. I'm just not the biggest fan of this kind of like pewter kind of grungy shadow. I don't know, like this like muted type of olive that doesn't have anything like really bright to it, kind of like leans copper. But like, again, I could see this being like the shadow that someone's waiting for, or someone who like doesn't want to spend Clionadh prices. I think this could be really similar to Weld, even though I can't prove it. It's just not the type of shadow that I reach for. The next one, this is pretty. I feel like the next 2 are kind of tied, but I'm going to talk about Life's a Beach next, that like really bright green one. This one I wouldn't want to give up, but I would give it up to save the other ones. We're gonna need more than that for the swatch. I'm swatching my middle finger. I don't know if that's, oh yeah, there we go. I had to dig in a little more. It's pretty, it's bright, I appreciate it, and I think I will wear it. Just not my first choice of tones. And the one that's kind of tied with that is Baecation, the first one that we swatched. I'm really curious how this is going to compare to Smoulder, but either way, I do like that like bright magenta of it. And seeing how bright that green was when I was in the fitting room was really cool. Nice. Yeah, like this shade, this Day Trippin, doesn't it look kind of like magnificent in its own way? I really believe that this is someone's perfect shade. For the top 3, I'm gonna give the number 3 spot to Off The Grid, which I have in my eyes right now. It is the coolest looking pan that I feel like I own, and I really do like how it is on my eyes. I'm excited to wear this, but not as excited about the color as I am about my top 2 colors. It's funny, in the swatch, it mostly just looks like a yellow copper bronze, but there's so much to it. It's probably the most multidimensional shade that there is here. Number 2 is going to Never Lost, surprising myself by choosing such a deep shade, but the way that blue sparkle looked was awesome. The way that I felt when that blue turned into purple, I was really into that. I think this is just a shift that I don't have in my collection. I have a couple other dark colors like this that I feel like want to be a shade like this, but just like, they don't get it done in the same way that this shadow does. Never Lost. Really excited about that. And number 1, I'm giving to Euphoria. These orders are subject to change, but this is just how I feel right now. I don't think that this is the most spectacular shade out there. I feel like Never Lost and Off The Grid, my number 2 and 3, those are objectively like better shadows, but I like the color of Euphoria a lot. I like the quality of it also, like I like the shimmer and everything, but I just like feel like sitting down at my vanity, this is the color that's most up my alley, and that's the color that I can envision myself wearing on a daily basis, like a lot more than I can envision putting on one of those, you know? And it still did have a lot of green to it when I saw it in the other lighting, and I really liked that. So I pulled out some other multichromes that I have that kind of remind me of these in one way or another to do some comparisons. I don't have that much to compare with because like this isn't my favorite grouping of shadows. So my collection of them is pretty small, but I think we have some good contenders to see how they add up. So I have Smoulder from Clionadh. This was in my first purchase ever from them in 2019. When I first found out about Clionadh, like the jeweled multichromes were like unbelievable. I had never seen anything like that, and it took me getting this one and Oculus, which I got in the first order, along with Grisaille and Abrasion. I bought those 4. Fun. But it took me getting these 2 to realize that they're not something that I'm going to use that much, even if they're so fun and pretty to look at. I also looked for Oculus. I gave it kind of like a timeout because after I last used it, I was like, maybe I'm going to want to declutter it. I don't know, but I don't know where it is right now. I know I didn't declutter it yet, but yeah, whatever. Smoulder. I want to compare this to that first one that I had tried on. I don't know why, like sometimes I'm so on the names of these things, and like today I can't remember any of their names. Baecation. This did feel like easier to pick up. It felt like a little bit less hard pressed, which is something that I do like. Okay, I'd say Smoulder is like a brighter shadow. Like the pink goes harder. And you can see the like bronze and orange in there too. I think like you could see the shifts in here when it was on my eye. You can't see it as well in the swatch, but I think that shows you that you'd see like this one even more on the eye. I have to remember to wear that. Like, damn. So I feel like it's a similar idea. I wouldn't say it's a formula dupe. I stand by the fact that like with Clionadh, you get what you pay for. You get really good shadows with them, but not everyone wants to spend like, I think the jeweled multichromes are like around $25 each. They often have like pre-orders, long processing times, a lot of things out of stock. I could see the Looxi being a lot more accessible. And I think that like this one's great. You know, like I don't want to dull it down by showing you something that's better. I think that if you've been wanting Smoulder and you haven't like pulled the trigger on it, I wish there was a better saying than that, I think that you would be happy getting Baecation from Looxi. I also have Forge, which is one of their jeweled multichromes, and this one's just so many colors. I feel like this is a shade that comes up in makeup conversation with myself a lot, and I'm going to compare it next to Off The Grid. I think that Forge looks like it's like a brighter red. Like it feels like Off The Grid more so like stops at copper, but Forge goes more red. But I think like the same thing with like Smoulder and Baecation, it's a similar idea. And if you've wanted Forge for a while and you haven't bought it yet, then I think that this might be the thing that like, you know, gets you to not hold back on it for like half the price. Probably an easier purchasing experience. Yeah, I think they're definitely like a similar idea. I also do feel like in my experience with Clionadh, the like black base with these jeweled multichromes would kind of come up more and make me a little bit frustrated when using them. And I don't feel like these really had a black base, but you know, I guess I'll kind of have to see as I use them if they meld into my other eyeshadows easily or not. Next I have Weathered. I do feel like this one's less black basey and like less shifty than the other jeweled multichromes that I have, and I feel like I like this one the best for that reason. It's also like very thick on my finger, which I'm really into. And I want to compare that next to Wish You Were Here, which I do think is a different experience because I think that one has more copper to it and also has that like bright Kelly green flip to it. And you can see Weathered is just like this gorgeous like golden chartreuse. But like the formula of Weathered, I love the formula of Weathered. I love how it like picks up so thick. Oh, that shade's so gorgeous. I have so many gorgeous eyeshadows. To compare to the top one, which was my least favorite, which is Day Tripper, I want to talk about Devinah Magnetosphere. This shadow is not my favorite from Devinah. They have so many shadows that are like so unbelievably sparkly that they blow my mind. And this shade, it has like a really nice multi-chrome to it. Even that tone of blue, this kind of reminds me of that one that I really liked also, but it doesn't have so much shimmer. Like it looks more like a satin when you use it, which again, I think is like perfect for someone else, but not perfect for me. I prefer the like shimmer of their other shadows to this one. But interesting, I do still think that Magnetosphere, wow, that shift is so pretty. Oh my God, like that's so bright. I feel like Magnetosphere has more of a sheen than Day Tripper does. To compare against the green, I grabbed out Big Bang from Terra Moons. This is one of their gray base multichromes. I find it pretty easy to work with, but I don't think it goes as bright as, what's it called? As Life's a Beach does. Yeah, I feel like this one's more of like a sheer grungy color, and the reflect of it is very light green. It almost kind of reminds me of like Fairy Fire from Devinah with like less sparkle and like more of a tan base. It doesn't really remind me too much of Life's a Beach. And then the last multi-chrome formula I want to compare is from Menagerie. These are not my favorites. I did a whole eye swatching video that I still have yet to post. It's just because I've had more pressing things to get up, but this is a little sneak preview because this is coming up soon. This shade is called Bolt. Looks pretty in the finger too. And then I also have Rivet. I feel like Rivet I'd put kind of in the same vibe as Life's a Beach. Let's try that one here. I think Rivet definitely looks like it has more purple to it, but it also like it doesn't really have the same shimmer as the Looxi ones. I definitely like the Looxi ones better. And then I'll compare Bolt next to Never Lost, which I really liked. Bolt is pretty. I like the brightness of it, but I do think Never Lost is something a little bit more special. So here's all of my multi-chrome comparisons. That's gonna be everything for today. I hope this was entertaining or helpful or a mixture of both. If you enjoyed this, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe. I would really appreciate it, and there's always a ton more indie content on the way. Thank you so much for being here. Bye.